I'm going to introduce Kimberly Dickey, who's with the Iowa Renewable Energy Association, also known as iRenew, who's going to, I think, explain a little bit more about what specifically is being thought of for the University of Iowa, and then we'll get on with the rest of the program as well. So, Kimberly.
Well, thanks everybody for coming tonight. I'm not sure whether you heard about it through all the press coverage and newspaper articles in the last 24 hours. We did try to get this information out through our social networking, Facebook and Constant Contact. So thanks for coming, and keep watch for more of these types of presentations in public libraries, community centers, as we move along. But just to give you a little bit more information about this proposal for the campus here at the University of Iowa, Rob had a great idea in calling it Hawkeye Power. It's very fitting because when you think about renewable energy and on-site generation, then you can really own that power. So if the University of Iowa makes this investment, it's Hawkeye Power, truly Hawkeye Power. And so essentially what we did, and this has been a while in the making, a lot of other people outside of this room have been talking about this and dreaming of this for campus one day. And essentially it was just, where can solar go fairly easily without a lot of major reconstruction of existing buildings on campus? And essentially that's what it was about, is looking at existing facilities around campus where there was high visibility, high electricity costs, and where they could really make an impact with on-site generation through installed systems. So just moving across the drawing or the diagram here from left to right, some of these buildings maybe you haven't ever seen from a bird's eye view, but you see it as a pedestrian walking around campus or biking around campus. And I was going to make that point yesterday and challenge people to go for a bike ride, say maybe this weekend sometime, and take a look at these buildings after you've seen and heard us talk about this tonight, and imagine just what this could look like. So here's the Hawkeye Tennis Complex, which is just across from West High. I went to West High School, so I always think of the landmarks around me. So when I went to West High School, though, there was nothing there. But now we've got this amazing tennis complex. And this building right here is perfectly oriented for rooftop PV. So what we're proposing is between that and some other open spaces, rooftop and also in the parking lot, we're proposing a total of 250 kilowatt solar PV. Just adjacent from that is the field hockey field. And I think what we're proposing there, Grant Field. It was originally called the field hockey field, but that sounds a little redundant, so now it's called Grant Field after somebody with notoriety here at the University of Iowa, many people know, proposed 120 kilowatts solar PV. And this one, what we're looking at is actually doing ground mount systems out in front of. So as you're coming in, I said yesterday, as you're coming into Iowa City, maybe you have to go to the University of Iowa Healthcare Services, or you're coming in for an activity on campus, like there's a football game. It's a high visibility location. And for the university, that kind of high visibility says a lot. It really sends a message to people coming into town from out of town or out of state into town. On the left, on the left side of the diagram, you're right, is one of the newest buildings on campus, which is the P. Sue Beckwith Boathouse. Again, another perfect location as people are coming into town. High visibility, is perfectly oriented for rooftop PV. We're proposing there 100 kilowatt solar. And then below that is the new rec center here on campus. Again, perfect location for rooftop solar PV. And then we've got in the heart of the University of Iowa is the football stadium. And the proposed, phase 1 is completed, but proposed phase 2 addition onto the Hawkeye football indoor practice facility. And in total, 450 kilowatt solar PV for the rooftop right here and here. And in addition to that, we're looking at and proposing additional solar PV as carports, so to provide shaded parking, but it's essentially its own electricity station, providing power to the stadium. And that's a total of 160 kilowatt solar PV. So essentially the message is here, we've got great existing buildings buildings on campus, many of them have already been renovated for energy efficiency. Many of them were designed for energy efficiency because they're newer buildings and meeting LEED standards or just basic ASHRAE standards, which require high efficiency. But let's add more value is essentially what this is saying. We can add more value through doing on-site generation. And then Rob's already covered some of these, and of course it was heavily covered in the paper and in the news last night, but these are kind of the performance metrics essentially if we make this investment. So the goal for 2013 or 2014 would be to install 1,240 kilowatts of solar electric power, and with that what we get is cutting nearly $100,000 in electricity costs on campus, which creatively we could think about that as we take that money, as sort of this pot of gold, and create full-time scholarships for students. And you know, if we really want to get excited about this, we could make those special scholarships for potentially engineering students who are going into and want to advance their careers in sustainability. With doing that, it occurring approximately 1,500 tons of carbon equivalent. Rob's already explained how he went about doing the calculations to do that. If you want to do that for your own system, on your own home, there's many calculators online that you can go to. usenergy.gov has a great one for multiple building applications. In terms of jobs, of course, this really hits home with the IREDGE 2020 plan that Rob and a lot of other sustainability professionals around the state are promoting. What we're estimating is a minimum of 20 full-time equivalent jobs for up to 8 to 10 weeks over the course of this installation. But that doesn't necessarily count also the brain trust that's involved in planning this all out and the engineering, and then of course the installation and commissioning and final commissioning, excuse me. And of course, the University of Iowa loves these kinds of statistics, is that you could potentially put them in the top #1 ranking in the Big Ten, and then hit that home with the top 25 universities nationwide. So as Rob said yesterday, solar power is Hawkeye power. Anyway, anybody have any questions about this proposal or the ideas that have gone into it?
All right, thanks Kimberly, that's
We
great.
got a couple
Yeah.
questions.
What size are the solar collectors?
This one right here is a 240.
Okay.
Yeah, but
And that-
you know,
that's what
So at 240, that's 240 watts?
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually 235.
I'm just curious.
That was
as the,
235.
Sure,
I have got a
That's your
240.
Maj, 235.
This one's 235. I have 2 solar panels. We were trying to figure out.
So this proposal would be about 4,500 of these around campus.
As the university administration bought into this, are they providing these?
Well, I think we sort of knocked on
That's
their
his
door
job.
yesterday.
No, yeah, I mean, and they knew, people at the university, trust me, people at the University of Iowa have known this is coming. And I told them, and what they told me, and I think it was the statement they had in the Cedar Rapids Gazette this morning, is that they're very interested in doing anything to promote renewable energy and happy to work with us to try to make this happen. So, have to push them a little bit, wouldn't hurt though. Okay, well thanks Kimberly for that overview on that. It really is kind of an exciting, by the way, if anybody wants to see what these top 25 rankings, I've got them on my website, and maybe we can get them on some other websites. But if we did this, the University of Iowa still would not be #1 in the region. They're the #1 college and university in the region, Oberlin College in Ohio. And we have better sun than Oberlin. We've got a better solar resource here than Ohio. Ohio actually is probably the leading state in the upper Midwest on solar power, and the reason is they're home to the largest solar manufacturer in the United States. And it's a really, really massive facility and an impressive facility, and so that's a good thing.